Anthony Edwards, who we thought might be that guy who was coming up on the American scene to take over the Jordan, Kobe, that spot on the mantle. He's had a bad season.
It might have to do with the kid situation.
What, that he's got 9 of them?
He's got a gazillion of them. Let me tell you this. I never thought anybody on earth would threaten Antonio Cromartie's record with women and kids. I think Anthony Edwards he's on pace to fucking slaughter it. It's not even going to be close. I think he could go for 20 with 13 different women. I think he could go for 20. He got a double-double, 13 women, 21, 22 kids. And I don't think that's crazy to say.
That is the most unique double-double in the history of the NBA.
And I think that's safely.
You think he can do it? Like minus odds? Is it minus odds?
Yes.
Oh my God! To go double.
Yeah. Minus 200.
Yeah. Everybody thinks it's a financial mistake to have all these kids. I said, if he has 10 sons, 3 or 4 of them are going to the NBA.
That's absolutely true.
I can promise you.
Welcome into the Slobberknocker Sports Podcast, episode 73. I can't believe we've done fucking 73 of these things. It's a lot of them. I'm your host, Dylan Leake, joined by my man, Uncle T, as always, and we have a special guest back on the show.
Yep. He may have been the original guest. I think he was.
It was him or JB from Last
virtually,
Chance
but
U.
Vexler coming in.
He's the OG in person,
he's the
for
OG.
sure. So we'll call Vex the OG.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, and it's fitting because, like I said the first time, these are my 2 favorite people to talk sports with. So
thanks, guys.
Yeah, Vex,
thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. Legendary San Antonio radio talk show host here too as well.
Formerly. That was me once upon a time.
It was, yes. Yeah. Very impressive. All right, we are going to jump into a bunch of stuff. We're going to talk college hoops. We're going to talk NBA. There was actually I wasn't planning on talking any NFL, and then I saw Justin Fields got a $40 million contract today from the Jets. I don't know if y'all saw that.
2 years?
Yeah,
40?
2 years, 40, 30 guaranteed. So I want to talk about that as well. We'll jump into that. I can't believe they did that.
That's an interesting...
Yeah.
But the going rate for quarterbacks now, I wouldn't have spent $20 million on them, but it's not. I don't know what you're trying to do if you're the Jets. Who are they anyway?
Stopgap until they draft the right guy.
Right. I guess
it makes a
but
little
at that
sense.
Point, yeah. That's
That is what they're doing.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Let's dive in real quick. I got 2 clips for us here. We're gonna go buzzer beater of the week. This was St. John's taking on Marquette. Last regular season game in the Big East. Now, St. John's already wrapped up the title here. Cam Jones is going to go in and tie the game with about 30 seconds to go. Now, St. John's has a good look here to win it. I'll turn it up here for a second so you can see the ending.
Step in. Bricked it.
He said, give me that ball.
Oh,
the old shot put finish.
Oh.
That was the most St. John's buzzer beater I've ever seen. You got the nice Marquette fan flicking off the team there too on the
very
right
classy.
That's very classy right there. Yeah. And you got Ejiofor doing the night. So good ending there. But at the end of this, when Kadary Richmond goes for this steal, Marquette's in the double bonus. If he misses and hits him 90 feet from the basket, normally teams just right here just let him go at this point, and he comes in and pokes it. Very, very dangerous play, but of course it works out because that's been St. John's year this year.
St. John's can guard, man.
Do you think they're the best defensive team in the country?
There's a lot of really good defensive teams in the country this year. I feel like more than most, Dylan. I could be wrong.
No, I agree.
It seems like there's more than there usually are in any given year.
Yep.
And they guard like SOBs. I wouldn't want to play them. But is it them? Is it Houston?
Yeah.
I don't know. One of those 2 teams is probably my best defensive team.
I agree. Those are the 2 best. I think St. John's is better. I've also seen a little bit more of St. John's than Houston. I think I've seen better versions of Houston defensively. Not that they're not good. They're elite. But they were so good the last couple years defensively. And the metrics always love them. The metrics always. Ken Pom has them number 1 defensively the last 7 fucking years.
Oh, yeah, every year.
But St. John's, to me, I don't know. They're just gritty and tough. And I like how they play.
They are nasty.
Yeah.
And they're maybe a little bit bigger by position than Houston is.
Yeah.
Houston's guards are not particularly tall.
Right.
St. John's has a bigger backcourt. Anyway, I don't know. U of H is really good, man.
They are
But
really
you're right.
good.
There are other versions of U of H over the last 5 years that guard kind of just like this with maybe slightly better athletes than this unit.
I agree.
So,
that's
I don't know.
Yeah.
This has been a great college basketball season.
It really has. From the jump.
Like you asked me leading into the show, have I been an NBA guy or a college guy this year? And if I recall, the last time we were in here, I think I was telling you guys, and this was a year ago, I'm just not watching that much college basketball this year. And I didn't last year. I watched less college basketball last year than any other year of my life leading up to that point. And this year, I'm back. I am all the way back.
All in.
I have watched more college basketball this year than probably any of the last 5 seasons.
I love it.
I'm all about it. There's something about this year in college basketball that I hadn't been able to put my finger on. And then the other day, I think I figured it out.
Well, there's no team like UConn this year, right?
Well, that's true.
Anything can happen this year. It seems like anybody can win it.
I think that is part of it, is that there isn't like a singular dominant team.
Right.
And then the second thing, and this happened to me throughout the year, I'd be watching a game and I'd go, oh, I kind of like that kid. Like Spurs might want to think about drafting him. Yeah. And I'd start looking him up. And every fucking time he was 23 years old. Every time. And that's when it hit me. The reason this college basketball season is so much better than years past, look at the influence college freshmen are having on this season. Like none.
Yeah.
Other than Cooper Flagg.
It's just Cooper Flagg and Knipple on the same team. The two guys on the same team.
That's it.
Yeah.
The rest of the freshmen are really not making a dent into the college basketball scene. You look at the best teams. I mean, Auburn, their average age is 23 years old. They're like
crazy.
It's like 12 months younger than the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, I was about to say
the
Wizards probably have a younger team.
They might.
Than Auburn.
They really might.
Honest to God, they might. Yeah. They were talking about I forgot who it was. I think in like OKC, Alex Caruso's with OKC now. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And he was talking about. He's like, dude, everybody calls me Unk on the fucking team. He's like, I'm 28 or whatever.
He's throwing their numbers off.
Yeah,
yeah, 28.
He
probably
I'm 28.
skews the numbers.
He's like, everybody else, he's got a bunch of 19. He's like, one guy just laughs when I walk in because I'm bald. And he's like, you're my first bald teammate. He goes, yeah, motherfucker, because you're 19. yeah. He's like, you're in the league now. He's like, the oldest guy on that team by 5 years.
No, we see it on like the mid-majors as well. I was watching the Missouri Valley Championship. And I watched the whole tournament, but Drake has like a very old team, and they all came over with their head coach from, I believe it was Northwest Missouri State. Is that right?
That's correct.
And they had been really good for the last couple years, but they're like all Division II players, and they were talking about one of the guys who was their best shooter, and they're like, yeah, he played 5 years at Northwest Missouri State, and now he's like at his first year at Drake. I'm like, first year? Does he have a second? Because that's his 6th fucking year.
I can't figure all of this out,
It's
and
crazy.
I realize that COVID has it all jacked. But like we are watching a different version of college basketball this year than we have in previous years.
Yep.
Grown man ball.
Yep.
I mean, you watch Auburn play or Alabama, any of these top 15 teams.
Tennessee.
It is grown man ass basketball. They are hitting people on picks. They are guarding with their chests. There's not a lot of finesse out there.
No, there's not.
And I kind of love it.
Oh, that's what makes it more fun to watch in the NBA, right? NBA, you touch somebody, you can't put a hand on anybody. College basketball, you watch some of these games. I forgot. We were watching it at Dylan's. It was VCU and George Mason, and my God, it was a tackle football game.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I mean, George Mason, the kid couldn't dribble the ball very well, but it's like VCU is like, well, if they let VCU play like this in the tournament, VCU might beat everybody.
The two Alabama-Auburn games have been like football games.
Yeah.
Yes, they have.
I mean, really brutal, physical games.
I remember the Tennessee-Auburn game was kind of that way,
Yes.
too. I think it was like 51 points at halftime or maybe even less.
And I love watching this stuff. It's much more competitive.
Right.
I think the competitive balance is a lot better, like you alluded to a minute ago. And then, Rick Pitino said earlier this season that he wasn't going to replace his outgoing seniors with incoming freshmen. He was like, I can't do that. We can't compete.
Right.
No 19-year-old's going to be able to compete on this level of the Big East. And he's damn sure right. You better be going after JUCO, Division II transfers, other Division I transfers. That's the only way to put together a really successful college basketball team right now. And I, for one, really love it. We're just coming off the Texas State high school basketball championships, and I went down to the Dome and saw some of that, and I was along the road, went to all the Alamo Heights Mules games in their playoff push. High school basketball is getting played way more physically now.
Yeah, it is.
And I love it. It looks like the Big 12 out there, bro.
I watched one of this. I can't remember I think it was the 6A Division 1 championship, and it was way more physical than a lot of NBA games I've seen. I mean, and the officials let them play. They really did.
I love it.
Which is great. That's what you want. That's what makes it entertaining. You officiate those games like EuroLeague games, where it's like you can put your hands on people, you can play defense. Not everything gets called every second of the the game.
And I think that's the problem with the NBA is that season is so long, right?
Yeah.
82 games. If you played an 82 game schedule like the Big 12 does, in their 18 games, 16 games that they play in league. Is that right? 16 games in league? Something
SEC,
like that.
I think, yes. 18. I think it's 18. Yeah.
18 league games. If you played 82 of those, like those 18, everybody'd be broken.
Yes.
Right? You just kind of can't do it. And especially you can't do it when you have 28 to 40-year-old men doing it. Like, it's one thing when they're all 21 to 23, but and look, I'm enjoying this college basketball season far more than the NBA season. This NBA season to me has been a bore.
Yeah, I haven't watched a single game besides a Spurs game, with the exception, I think, on Christmas Day, there was a blowout in the NFL. It was the only game on, so I turned on those games. And those games were actually not bad, the Christmas Day games. A couple of them were close, at least, so I watched to the end. But besides that, I've watched Spurs games, and that's it. If there's like a like Missouri Valley Conference game between Illinois State and Evansville, and it's Lakers-Celtics, I'm usually clicking on the college basketball game instead. I really am. And I might be in the minority there, but I just can't watch the NBA during the regular season.
I think the entire Eastern Conference is a bore.
Yep.
There's really not a team or a player in the Eastern Conference that I'm appointment viewing. Now, admittedly, I'm still an NBA head, so I will watch Golden State.
Sure.
Right? If they're on a heater, couple game winning streak, I'm going to tune into a Golden State game and see if they can play up to, we'll just say, the Celtics or OKC. OKC is a good watch. The Nuggets, because of Jokic, are always fun to watch.
Yeah.
What was it the other night? 31, 21, 20?
Yeah.
Something like that. First
30-20-20 game in the history of the NBA.
I love how Kevin Durant, I think, tweeted about it. He goes, it's awesome, but he goes, I'm honest to God surprised he hadn't done it before. Because it's like his stats are just absurd all the time. So they're like, the fact that it took him this long to get the 30-20-20.
I want to go through a list of great NBA, like maybe Hall of Fame point guards, and see how many of them never played a 20-assist game in their entire career.
That's a great point.
Like, Tony Parker's going to the Hall of Fame. I'd bet a toe he never had 20 assists.
He definitely didn't, yeah.
Like, no way. Chris Paul has probably had one, maybe two. Like, getting 20 assists in a game is really bloody hard.
Yeah.
Tony Parker's highest was 18. I just looked it up.
There you go.
Never touched 20. Yeah.
And
you get to keep your toe, by the way.
Thank you. So it's appointment viewing for me in the NBA. If there's a really good matchup, Cavs, OKC, Cavs, Nuggets, I'll tune in. to check it out. But if y'all be damned if I'm watching like the Knicks and Celtics.
Yep.
Like, bore me to tears.
Not gonna happen.
And like, the Celtics are really good at basketball, like really good. I mean, they play great ball. And it's also really boring to watch.
So boring. I don't understand why it is. I guess this kind of leads me to my next question then, or a question I had for you, which is, if you were the commissioner of the NBA, with how the NBA has become this year, and you are the biggest NBA fan I know and follow it like nobody's business, and you're saying it's different this year.
It is.
What do you think is the biggest reason? What would you change if you were the commissioner tomorrow? What would you change? Because I've heard Adam Silver put out cut the quarters to 10 minutes. I've heard cut the season down. I've heard changing the 3-point line and all of that stuff. What would you change? Something? What would you do?
Okay, so that's two questions. One question is, why is this season worse than last season?
Go that one first.
Okay. There is no premier player at the top that's worth watching other than Jokic.
Okay.
And Jokic is not American, and that's a problem. He is not affable the way Curry was. He's not awe-inspiring the way LeBron was.
He just wants to go home to Serbia and be with
raise
his
his
horses.
fucking horse.
This is a job. No one likes their job. I want to go home.
He's very Tim Duncan.
Yes.
Yeah, he is.
Very,
It's a good
Tim
comparison.
Duncan,
Whiter and more Eastern Euro.
Yeah.
But he's Duncan. I'm gonna come to do my job. I'm gonna beat your ass, and then I'm going home without saying a goddamn word.
Yeah.
And that's great. But Tim Duncan was never the face of the NBA, and we're all lucky he wasn't, because that doesn't work real well for bringing in casuals.
Right.
It just doesn't. Anthony Edwards, who we thought might be that guy who was coming up on the American scene to take over the Jordan, Kobe, that spot on the mantle. He's had a bad season.
Yeah, he really
and his
has.
team has been disappointing.
What are they right now? 7th or 8th? They're in that play-in area, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not been a successful year.
It might have to do with the kid situation.
What? He's got 9 of them.
He's got a gazillion of them. Let me tell you this: I never thought anybody on earth would threaten Antonio Cromartie's record with women and kids. I think Anthony Edwards is. I mean, he's on pace to fucking slaughter it. It's not even going to be close. I think he could go for 20 with 13 different women. I think he'd go for 20. He got a double-double with kids and women. He go for a 20-piece. 20 women. 13 women, 21, 22 kids. And I don't think that's crazy to say.
The double-double of all
It's
double-doubles.
the most unique double-double in the history of the NBA.
And I think that's safely.
do it?
I think it's.
He's young.
He is young.
It's very safe at this point.
Yeah.
Unless he gets the whole procedure done, it's gonna happen.
Minus odds. Is it minus odds?
Yes.
Oh my God!
It
To go
is.
double-double.
Yeah. Minus
God,
200,
yeah.
minus
Yeah.
300.
So this is
think
way
he's
off
got-
topic, and I will get back. But this is an important thing that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Is nobody in his ear talking to him
He just
about
he doesn't fucking care.
the
right?
dangers of having illegitimate children?
Yeah.
This is not going to work out well in the long run.
He's taking coaching advice from Nick Cannon on the.
Yes.
It's the Nick Cannon's coaching him up on how.
I
to,
love everything about Anthony Edwards. Everything.
Yeah.
I love the way he plays. I
Yeah.
love the way he talks.
Yeah.
I love the sneer. I love that he doesn't respect the rest of the league. I fucking love that kid.
It's awesome.
What are you doing off the floor, man?
Well, people also think that, this is the greatest story about him is he's got to be Michael Jordan's bastard kid because he's so fucking good. He's got the killer mentality. That's
that
a
has gone
legitimate
around.
rumor. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And there's some similarities.
There's going to be, I'll tell you this though. Here's the funny thing. I was telling someone the other day, I said, everybody thinks it's a financial mistake to have all these kids. I said, if he has 10 sons, 3 or 4 of them are going to the NBA.
That's absolutely true.
I can promise you. I can promise you.
And even if
I
it's a
don't
1
know
in 10,
who he's. Yeah. I mean, hopefully he's not. Hopefully it's not a lot of 5'1", 5'2" white women he's doing this with.
Yeah.
Hopefully we have some
He's smarter than
athletes
that.
in there. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully so.
I would think, but then again,
I mean, but if he has that, then
So
I
then
mean,
on
we're in
another
a lot
level-
of trouble.
on another level, I have a real problem trusting anybody to do a job that has that many kids.
It's a good point.
And it's not because of bad judgment, although that part is obvious.
yeah.
Right.
It's the second part. There's no fucking time. What was the Jets coach last year? Rashawn
Robert Saleh?
Saleh.
Yeah.
He's got 9.
Does he really? I
Yes.
didn't know that.
You cannot be an NFL head coach with 9 kids.
Yeah, that's
Wait,
crazy.
and nine with one woman, or we got 4?
That's
Are we
what
talking
that's
Phillip
what the Google's
Rivers?
for.
Are we talking Phillip Rivers? Are we talking Antonio Cromartie? There's a big difference there.
But-
Rivers had 7, and
No, it says he has 7 children and they're all with his current wife.
Okay,
And-
all right.
and-
That's
and-
do. It's
But
somewhat doable.
I think it's worse if they're under your roof.
No, I agree.
If they're under your own
And
roof.
so you
now
when-
you're responsible
when are you
for them
ever
at that
going to
point.
read
So you-
about the
so
upcoming
you-
games?
Yeah,
so-
that's a good point.
Vex, let's get this on the record. You prefer
Uh-huh.
Anthony Edwards
Yes.
knocking up 10 randos and not having any responsibility for any of them except financially.
If I'm employing the
Okay.
person,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
Because he's
I
got
just wanna
plenty
know-
of time.
Okay.
Their
That's a
baby
good
mamas
point.
are with the kids.
Yeah.
It's not like he's giving them baby
Right.
bottles and changing
Right.
diapers.
Okay.
Now,
He's getting
what's-
plenty
I
of-
always forget Robert Saleh. I always want to call him Rashawn Salam. Robert Saleh. Robert
Close
Saleh. Yeah. Robert Saleh has 7 under his roof.
Yeah.
There's always somebody sick. There's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got 2, and we haven't had a healthy week since my birthday, which is the 2nd week of November.
Wow.
Okay. It's been strep. mono, both flus, A and fucking B.
I had A.
My wife and I have both had COVID.
Oh my gosh.
And then just the common cold twice.
Someone give me some hand
You're going
sanitizer.
through it right now.
Someone give me some hand sanitizer. Holy smokes.
Check your blood pressure
It's
there.
been hell. So if you have 7 of them,
Yeah.
like how often are you ever going to be able to come home and study the goddamn film?
It's a great
You
point.
just can't.
Philip Rivers had the minivan, baby. He had that Sprinter van. He lived like an hour. He's like, I think purposely he lived like an hour to 2 hours away from their facility so he could watch film for 2 hours and leave his kids and wife behind and come home. That's what he did for years.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's actually good
Had
planning.
a Sprinter van, had the, I can
feel
promise
like-
you Anthony Edwards didn't watch a lot of film, but God bless him. I don't know how many kids. I mean, listen, we know of how many kids is
I
Anthony
tried
Edwards?
to look it up. I thought it was 6. Then I read 3. I don't know. I can't get an accurate number.
Bullshit. There's way
I
more
thought
than
we read
3.
6 with 4 different women. That's what I thought it
Yeah,
was.
that's what I think it is too.
Anyway.
It matters
Regardless.
not.
It doesn't
It's
matter,
been
yeah.
disappointing
Yes.
to have Anthony Edwards not take that next step.
Right.
I think other guys that maybe were on the periphery and had a chance to do that will throw Paolo Banchero, Zion Williamson, etc. Those guys had a chance to make that jump. Maybe even Luka could be in that conversation. And until this recent 2 weeks with the Lakers, his Maverick season was really depressing.
Yes, it was.
So we just didn't have any storylines in the NBA. And coming into the year, I don't know what the number one storyline was. I mean, if you want to tell me it was, can the Celtics repeat? Boring.
Yeah,
I mean, nobody
cares?
gives a shit.
No one cares.
The Celtics, as I mentioned, play really good basketball, but it's very boring, and they have nobody of personality.
I feel like that's probably, obviously when we were in it with the Spurs, there's probably America's view when the Spurs
That's what they said about us.
fucking smoking everybody. They're like, who the fuck cares?
It's absolutely
we care,
the
but
right-
nobody else
That's
does.
the right parallel.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Right.
great if you're a fan of the Celtics, and
Right.
otherwise could care
Nothing.
less.
Yeah.
And, the Celtics, even though it's a big market, they don't have, coast to coast affection the way, the Bulls or the Lakers. They're not one of those kind of markets.
Right.
So anyway, that's why this season started to suck. I will also add the Suns with Kevin Durant have been an enormous
Horrible.
disappointment, right?
Horrible.
I mean, just tragic.
I saw
Terrible.
Skip Bayless tweeted at him actually yesterday. Did you see that? It was hilarious.
I didn't.
He didn't tweet at him, but Skip Bayless was on a show saying, every time I watch the Suns, I think they're done, and it's because Kevin Durant's, uninterested, blah, 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 blah. And then Kevin Durant tweeted back at him and goes, "You're right, Skip. We're both fucking washed. It's like time to it's time to hang it up or
Good.
something like that."
Good.
And I was like, at least he's got a little bit of
Kevin's-
a sense of humor on the
Well, that would be the
issue.
one time he's ever had a sense of
Right.
humor.
Oh, for
because
sure.
he's the most
sure.
like paper thin,
Yeah.
sensitive,
God, yeah.
eggshell superstar
Ever.
that any sport has ever had.
Yeah.
It's pathetic.
And like, Bill Simmons talked about this in a column or a podcast months ago, and I think he's right. The NBA ebbs and flows, right? Like, it's not always a seamless transition from Michael Jordan to Kobe Bryant.
Sure.
I mean, there was a gap there,
Yeah.
right? There was a doldrum. And we're in one of those.
Yeah.
And we have not gotten there. The LeBron, Curry, Durant era of superstars is phasing out. And the next phase, which should have been probably Kyrie, Kawhi, maybe. I'm trying to think of who else I would include in that group. They really never took that mantle,
Yeah.
right? So it's sort of skipping a micro generation, and we're looking for the next person to be it. And that's why Ant is the guy that we want, the heir apparent to that throne. But I don't know if he can do it. And he's in a terrible market to do it in Minneapolis. And I don't think he has the team to do it. So, I don't think that's very good for the league.
I thought it was going to be Luka just from the way last year ended. I don't know what's been going on. I know he's been playing a little bit better as of late.
Yep.
I guess
Still fat.
he's still fat. He is.
He's
He
still
really is. He
balling,
still
baby.
can't play
Yeah, he
defense.
can ball.
He can ball.
Jokic is fat too, and he has 31, 20,
Yeah,
20.
So it turns out that when your high school coach tells you to run sprints, tell him to fuck off. and go sit and eat a fat burger.
That's a great,
because the two best players in this league are
Yes.
Luka and Jokic, and those fuckers are doughy.
They really are.
that's a great conversation because when I was at MacArthur, it was so funny playing baseball. I was an okay baseball player growing up, and we're playing whatever, and it's like sophomore year. Our team can't hit for fucking shit. But guess what? We're on the track every day, and we're running the bases. And, my smart ass finally raised his hands like, hey, maybe we should work on hitting the fucking ball. It's like, I know we're in the best shape in NEISD out here at MacArthur. We can't hit for shit.
I can't steal third if I can't get to first.
Exactly.
Right.
I said, so why don't we work on that? It was, oh, you're a smart ass. I'm like, yeah, well, I am, first of all. Yes. Secondly, no one can hit on this fucking team. Manny Ramirez looks like he hadn't worked out a day in his life in 100 years. Guess what? He gets on first base, okay?
Yeah, man.
We don't have to steal first. We just got to, you can't steal first, right?
Yeah.
You got to get on first.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
Can't steal first base.
Okay,
So-
go ahead.
No, it's all right.
No.
It's just weird to me that those are the face of the league.
No, it very much
Right.
is. It's like you have two white European overweight dudes dominating the NBA right now. But I guess my question then is this a singular season thing? Because for me, it's not been. It's been less interesting to me. Now, don't get me wrong. When the playoffs start, I'm watching. And I think part of the last couple years not being as interesting is also the Spurs not being as good. And that's what I follow mostly. But do you think there's an inherent issue with, I know there's been debates this year about how many threes are taken, right? The lack of defense. And we talked about it already. The 82-game season, you can't play like you do in college in the Big 12 or the Big East. It's just not going to happen.
Well,
But-
hockey players would like a word with that from both y'all.
They also
It's
play,
impossible
okay,
to play 82
I do
games.
agree. They also play a third of the game or a fourth of the game.
Yeah.
So
They play in
it's a little
shifts.
bit different.
It
It is
is.
a little different.
Correct, but you're also getting your teeth knocked out.
No, I don't. I'm not arguing that it's not tough.
I
I'm
get what
just
you're
saying
yeah.
they're not on the floor the entire
Yeah,
night.
They
the
play
entire
about
game.
And I would
good
argue
players
the
play a
hockey
little-
regular season is too fucking long,
Oh,
too.
It
yeah.
definitely
It is,
is.
yeah.
I don't know how those guys make it through it.
I don't either.
The hockey purists would be disgusted with you both. Okay?
But-
About honor and integrity. They're
I
ice
love
gladiators.
hockey.
Okay,
I respect the shit out of hockey.
Yeah.
But like if they shortened it by 30 games in the regular season, I would not go
completely
play.
agree.
well, there's
And-
nothing better than playoff hockey, right? So everybody just wants to get the NHL playoffs are like
Nothing better.
nothing
Yeah,
better.
I love it.
I love,
playoffs.
like I said, NBA, and Dylan watches far more NBA. Obviously, you watch a lot. I'm like, I'll watch the Spurs when I'm at his house, and if it's a close game, I'll turn them on. Other than that, it's the playoffs. I don't give a
I've
shit.
been lucky
Yeah.
enough to go to one playoff hockey game
Right.
in Canada
Oh, wow.
and
Oh,
another
sweet.
and a Stanley Cup game in Canada. And I got to tell you, that's ape shit.
Which one? Where'd you go? Edmonton?
I
recently,
was
or where?
in Vancouver.
Oh, that's the
and
Vancouver when
I
they
remember.
played the Bruins in the Stanley Cup, or who were they playing? Had to be the Bruins.
yeah,
Same, been
man,
there a
I was
long,
drinking
long
a
time
lot.
Me, I would have
was
been right there
probably
with you. I don't
15 years
remember.
ago.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was.
Okay. See, that's how much
Vancouver
I know.
and the Bruins.
I mean,
yeah.
we happened to be in town
Nothing
for a
better.
convention, and there was a ticket, and it was like $500 a piece.
Sweet.
We were like, we're going.
Yeah,
Like,
that's awesome.
We're never going to get another
Vancouver's
chance to
an
do
awesome
this.
city too. I
It was
telling anybody
great,
that.
and
Whistler,
I
Vancouver.
think hockey people would say like not the best hockey town because it's kind of Americanized.
right.
But whatever, I don't give a shit. It was
Yeah.
amazing, and been to the Super Bowl, been to the World Series, been to the NBA Finals a few times. It's not even close.
Yeah.
It's hockey.
That's
Agreed.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's hockey, and playoff hockey's just you guys said it. It's
Yeah.
just on a whole other level. But look, we're gonna watch the NBA playoffs. Is this a long-term problem for the NBA? I don't know. We're gonna find out. If I had to guess, because I pay attention to the recruiting and the younger kids who are coming in, holy shit, guys, the talent level
Yeah, I've
of
heard
this
that.
next generation that's coming is just off the charts.
Is it not just this next year's draft? It's like the next couple.
It's forever.
yeah.
Like it's forever. It's going to be forevermore.
Now
I mean,
you have
there's-
all the talent coming out of France too.
Yes.
I mean, it's like because what 2 out of the top 5 picks were France this
This
last
year,
year,
yeah.
right?
Yep,
yeah.
yep. And
Down
3 in the
draft.
top
Wemby,
10.
obviously.
Yeah.
I was telling him, I said, by the time the next Summer Olympics roll around, you might have France as a very close 1-2.
France is going to be the favorite at some
They could
point in our
absolutely-
lifetime.
Oh yeah, for sure.
At some
Yeah.
point, it'll be Victor and his crew
Yeah.
that'll be the favorites.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it is the international aspect of it, and it is the depth of talent.
Yeah.
It is It is off the charts. I mean, AJ Dembasta is coming to the NBA. He's got to play 1 year at BYU. Yeah. And that's going to be interesting. And we can talk about that because I don't get what's going on there with the Mormon, the Mormon Mafia.
How are they getting these dudes?
The Mormon Mafia.
Yeah,
that's what they're talking about it like that. Yeah. Like it's like Danny Ainge and all of his henchmen with like millions of dollars.
They give him what how much did they give him to go?
I think it was $8 million or $9 million.
Holy shit! I mean, that's crazy.
And look, he's worth it. I mean, if you've watched film on this kid, he is on a whole other level.
He's unbelievable.
I mean, he is kind of LeBronish. I mean, he is that big. He is smooth with it. He can bounce. He's got everything.
I remember him. The only thing I've seen of him, he went on Stephen A's show, and Stephen A was doing an interview. I was like, "This is a cocky little fucker up here." This like, "What is your game like?" He's like, "I'm a mix between LeBron driving it and I have the Jordan's mentality." I was like, "This guy must be real good to come on TV doing this."
And he mentioned the Spurs in that interview, so I'll never forget it. Said he wanted to play with Wemby.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, I would love that, but it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And like Flagg's entry to the NBA next year is going to be very interesting. Cooper Flagg's not going to be a 30-point scorer probably ever in the NBA, but I think what he does to the mentality of a team influences winning and changes culture so much that like, that's going to be worth watching.
Yeah.
Zion,
I like him a lot.
Zion should have been here, right? He should have arrived by now. And it's a shame that he didn't.
Yeah.
Like, this should be probably his league right about now.
Yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah. Injuries plus, like, just kind of malaise. Yeah. I mean, I think that's his general idea, is he doesn't really give a shit.
Yeah.
And he's in New Orleans. And the best thing that could ever happen to him is if they would find a way to trade him somewhere.
Yeah.
Let New Orleans reset. Let him reset.
They should reset anyway, the way that's gone. I mean, they've gone complete. What are they, the second worst team in the West right now? I mean,
awful.
They're
and they have a ton of talent.
They do.
I don't get it.
And they had a ton of talent last year, and they're the 8th seed.
Yes.
Like, I mean, what are we doing? I mean, it's not working.
Right. I feel like that's an issue in the NBA too, where it's like they talk about going back to the hockey conversation again, but like PK Subban talking about when he I don't know if you saw that, but he was talking about the culture is like
it was a good take.
When you look,
it was a really good take.
Look at the Pelicans, right? And I'm not an NBA expert, but like you both said, they have talent. It's a culture issue. No one on that team gives a shit. It's like what CJ McCollum's still there, right? And then you got Zion who's eating his way through New Orleans, which no disrespect.
We've all done it.
Yeah, I mean, I would be doing the same fucking thing if I was there. I'm not saying I wouldn't, but it's like, I mean, that team is like, well, it's a classic. We're never winning the West anyway. What does it fucking matter? We're just collecting $30 million a year and living our best lives.
When you look at that team when they're healthy compared to like, and this might be piss people off, but you look at them compared talent, just straight talent wise, to like the Cavaliers. It's not that much different.
It's really not.
Right, it really isn't. I mean, they play better together. They have developed their guys much better, and they've become really good. And Kenny Atkinson comes in there and does a heck of a job, obviously. But like, you have one team who's at the top of the East, given it's the East, and you have another team who's like second to worst in the West. And the talent level really isn't that much different, at least when the Pelicans are healthy.
I agree. Yeah. And actually, I think the Pelicans head coach, Willie Green, is a pretty cool coach.
Yeah, I do too. I've always liked him.
I would hire him.
Yes.
He's a hard ass, and I actually like everything about him. What I don't like about that team, and I'm bringing it all the way back to like what we were talking about with Texas high school basketball, and it's the AAU culture.
Yeah.
Right? It's if I'm not getting mine, then I'm not going to do it.
Right.
And that team, every time I watch them, it's if I'm not getting mine, then I'm not playing defense.
Yep.
And I can't stand that shit. And I think that's what a lot of us, when we watch the NBA, that's what we're seeing.
That is exact. That is it. That's it to a T.
100%.
It's it to a T.
And you don't see it. Sorry, this is going to sound racist as fuck. You don't see it with the Euros.
No, you don't.
Because they were not raised that way.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're born in a war-torn country, you tend to appreciate the fact that you're getting paid a couple $100 million to play hoops.
Right.
Like, and Jokic doesn't go out of his way, like we said, to do interviews. Nobody's asking for that. But you know what? I've never seen Jokic dog it.
Yep.
Like, he might be fat. He might not be fast. He can't jump. And he's like, but I've never called him out of shape.
Right.
And I've never said he dogged it. Nobody would ever say that. Yeah. Right. And that I think that's the dividing line. And like, that's part of, I think, why people have a thing with Luka and why the Mavericks had a thing with Luka is because he does dog it. And he is all about him. I mean, there's that story that I don't know if you guys have heard, and who knows how much truth there is to it, but it was, after a game. It was before a game on a game day, and he's drinking a beer in the locker room, and, Nico Harrison and Jason Kidd and a couple other important members of the Mavericks came up to him, and they're like, hey, man, you can't be doing that. And he said, what the fuck are you going to do about it? I'm your whole franchise. And this was months ago, allegedly, like back in December. And they were like, well, we'll see. And that's when the wheels started turning, allegedly.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
That's the story.
That's wild.
That's the story.
I think Ryan Russillo said it best the day after that trade happened and said, I don't care what the fuck he's doing in the locker room. He could be smoking a cigarette, walking the ball up the court, and I'm going to say, hey, when can I sign you to a max extension? I don't care. I agree with what you're saying, and times have changed in the NBA.
Yeah.
They want you on the health kick, whatever. Michael Jordan was drunk half the games he played in.
I don't know about that, but
damn well near. He's playing 36 holes of golf with Andy.
Staying out in Vegas and such.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
it's just anywhere he went, it was like he played in the money game. He played 36 holes of golf, and then when he lost the money, he was like, hey, I'll bet you double or nothing. I scored 35 tonight. We win. And they'd be like, okay, look at this drunk asshole. He scored 42 and the Bulls win by 20.
Yeah, he also worked his ass off, off the court all the time.
It's in incredible shape.
But
it is an interesting question because you have we just talked about culture being the reason it's hard to watch some of these teams. And then you have that guy and he's like, well, they got to the NBA finals last year. They were this close to winning a championship. So how do you evaluate that? It's very difficult.
Luka's really hard to evaluate.
Yeah, he is.
Like, if you ask me if I want to coach him, absolutely not.
Right.
If you ask me if I want to be his executive, absolutely not. But if you ask me, like, do I want him on my team? Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Because he's so fucking good.
Yeah.
Right.
But, like, I don't want the headache because he's petulant. He's kind of a whiny bitch.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't stand what he does with the officials.
Horrible.
And he throws his hands up with his own teammates. I can't stand that.
Right.
But, like, denying his brilliance on a basketball floor would be stupid.
Yeah.
He is that good.
It really is.
So I don't know. Luka's an anomaly.
Sure.
And by the way, don't sleep on the Lakers. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if
You
they
think they could win a championship with this group?
yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I want to move on to college in a second, but on that topic, who can win a championship? I thought, in my eyes, I'm thinking Celtics, Thunder, maybe Cavaliers. Do the Cavs have an actual shot? Are they a fake team atop the East? Or are
They're
they
not
legit?
fake at all.
So they can win the East.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They
and
can
then
win the East.
how many teams besides those three? Anybody else? Lakers, you just said.
OKC, Denver, Lakers from the West.
Okay.
And from the East, it's just Celtics, Cavs.
Celtics, Cavs.
Yeah.
Okay, so five teams.
The Knicks are a nice team, and they'll make a nice push, but eventually they're going to lose.
Did they make
don't
a
have the
mistake?
athleticism.
Did they make a mistake going and getting Karl Anthony Towns?
No, it's not a mistake. And by the way, I'm not a Karl Anthony Towns fan.
Neither am I.
And I'm surprised at how well it's worked.
Yeah.
But the reality is that unless Towns is backed by a better defensive player, like a center, like Rudy Gobert, he's not a great player.
Yeah.
He's not good enough to defend the rim. And, when you're guarding guys like Donovan Mitchell and Jason Tatum, you have to have something at the rim.
Yeah.
If you threw Porzingis off the Celtics and on to the Knicks, I would much prefer the Knicks' chances.
Yeah.
Last thing on the NBA, because you asked me.
Go ahead.
Like, if I could wave the magic wand, yes, I would go to 10-minute quarters, 40-minute games.
Okay.
Much like the international game, and I would cut the regular season to 50 games.
Okay.
And I would make it much more of a sprint. Now, none of those things are going to happen.
Right.
That's
Money.
too much ad inventory that's lost.
Right.
That's too much ticket revenue that's lost at the home gyms. It's never, ever, ever going to happen. But if you wanted the NBA's regular season to be meaningful again, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You watch these international games, they go so fast. And you're in the fourth quarter in crunch time before you know it.
Right.
A regular NBA game's about 2 hours. An international game's like an hour 30.
I believe in the international games. I believe when I watch EuroLeague games, there's one stoppage in the middle of the quarter, right?
Yeah.
It's like at the 5-minute mark, you get under the 5, there's one stoppage,
Sure.
and it's like one little commercial, and then you get right back into it.
Yes,
Like you said,
it's
hour and a
great.
half game. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
fabulous.
Yeah.
And if the NBA got their hands on it, don't worry, T. They'd screw that up.
Oh,
too.
yeah, yeah,
They'd,
yeah.
they'd have ad inventory,
Yeah, right, right.
for every
Right.
bucket made practically.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But if you want it to be interesting, Dylan, that's what you do.
Yeah.
I don't think they have to worry about it being a long-term problem because, like I said, I think there's this next generation that's going to come along, and this game is going to be played by so many talented players. It's going to be mind-blowing in about 5 years. It's just everybody who comes on the floor is going to be able to shoot every shot you ask.
That is the positive part, I guess, of AAU is the skill level because they're playing so much fucking basketball now. And they have access to so many coaches. Like, literally, I coached a player at Smith & Valley who was an ESPN top 150 kid. And it's like, he would go to these workouts in Dallas and Houston. And I'm like, how much does that cost? He goes, oh, no, these guys do it for free. Like, these guys who are these top players and already ranked, they're going and getting these coaches for free. I mean, they just want to be able to say, I coach this guy, I train this guy.
Gotcha.
Now, I'm sure they make their money on some of the other kids lower off, but I'm just saying, like, those guys at that level are having, access to NBA level coaches at that age is crazy.
It's pretty cool.
It's crazy.
It's pretty cool. And whether individual, I don't know, acumen adds up to casual viewers being interested, we shall see.
Yeah.
Right.
Because, like, what do we love? I mean, we talked about it already. What do we love about the college game, right? The ball movement. It's the action. It's the intensity, the physicality. Like, that's not going to come with the NBA.
Right.
It's just you're going to have 5 guys who can all shoot step backs.
Right. And being the neutral party here who watches zero NBA, I can tell you from a product standpoint, even if it gets more, like you said, the talent's coming, right? Everybody's going to be able to make these shots, whatever. Unless the way the game's played changes, it's not going to matter for most of neutrals.
I think you're right.
It's just really
No,
not.
I do agree with that, and I think
I'm
part
sure
of that
it's going to
is-
get better, but
No,
it's
it
just not
is.
going to matter to
It's-
me or the people that watch, like, our big college
I
basketball
don't think it's the
fans.
talent that you want to see. It's the toughness. It's
Yes.
the intensity that
Correct.
you're looking for.
Correct.
I don't know that there's a fix to that because these guys make
the
now
culture
such
issue,
an
yeah.
absurd amount of money. They don't want to get hit and beat
No
up like
way.
that every night.
No way.
That's why you see the level increase in the playoffs a little bit because at that point it's like, okay, we can deal with it for this amount of time, but we're not doing it for 82 games. We're
Right.
not
The
doing it.
playoffs are a very watchable
Oh, yeah,
product.
they're
It's all
fun.
about the
The
regular
playoffs
season.
are a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Let's move on to some college basketball. We're going to jump into, I've got some blind resumes to look at. I've got a bunch of stuff, but
Oh, cool.
we got to do one video here. It's like our version of Bad Beats. I don't know if you watch SVP's Bad
Sure.
Beats, but we call it the Swan Dive of the week because if you lose, you basically want to swan dive off the Tower of the Americas. So
Watch out now.
all right, we're going
I
to check.
wonder if I know which game this is.
So this is going to be Michigan State, Iowa. This was this week. And
this isn't what I thought it was going to be.
Michigan State is laying 7.5. They are up by 14 here, and Trey Holloway is going to bang a 3. They're up now 17. All right, we're under 4 minutes to go. All right, the other way, Josh Dick's going to answer for Iowa with an and 1. Now, keep in mind, Iowa needs to win a game here to get into the Big Ten tournament because the bottom 4 teams do not make the Big Ten tournament this year. This is what Michigan State's defense has done lately in the end of games. I mean, they've been phenomenal, and they've been dominating Iowa here in the second half, and they're still up big here, up 14 with 3:30 to go. This is their freshman, Jason Richardson, going to miss that, put back up and in. Now, Iowa's going to get hot here, and they're going to keep cutting into it. But every time we look and we cut forward, Michigan State's still up 13 here with 2:15 to go. By the way, that kid who just hit that was a 25% three-point shooter.
Nice.
And had made like 7 threes the entire season. All right. Now, under 40 seconds to go. All right. Drew Thelwell is going to drive in and miss this for Iowa. And Michigan State
That
has
game's
the rebound.
over.
It's over. I mean, honestly, you could debate whether you even foul here, right? It's 33 seconds to go. You're down 10. It's over.
Most of the time you're yelling, why the fuck are you fouling? The
That's
game's
exactly
over.
right, especially if you're laying 7.5 here. Okay, so Carson Cooper goes to the free throw line for Michigan State. He's about 73%. That's the first miss from the line for Michigan State in the last 5 minutes. But he's going to get the second one. You're still up 11. Even if Iowa hits a 3 here, okay, you're still covering.
Still safe.
Still safe, all right? Now, Peyton Stanford, who was 0 for 5 from 3, hits the most ridiculous 3 here to cut it. Now, this is where it gets really, really shitty for anyone who backed Michigan State because they're going to break the press here, and this is going to find Jaden Akins, who's a senior and has played for Izzo for a long time.
You got to dunk that.
And he tries to dunk it and misses it straight out of bounds with 16 seconds. Izzo is fucking livid. He's losing his fucking mind.
Izzo's trying to cover the spread.
He's trying to cover his mouth yelling. And now, of course, we're going to get a drive in here by Brock Harding, the backup point guard. By the way, I don't know if you can see this, but it really looked like he traveled here. I couldn't tell if he got the second dribble down for me.
It doesn't. What's he going for a 2-pointer for?
Exactly.
He's
Why are
got
you going
8.
for 2?
Game over.
If you watch here, I'm running it back again here as Izzo's still losing his fucking mind. It really looks here like he picks it up here, goes 1-2, 1-2.
Oh, yeah, he did.
And then fixes it. They don't call it.
He did.
So now you have to get. Now you're gonna need both free throws here. Izzo's still about to kill this kid. I'm just fucking livid. I love Tom Izzo. He's
Come
the
on,
best.
coach. I gotta dunk that.
So now you got to get this in. They throw it deep.
Oh my God.
Carson Cooper does catch it, and they call a foul. You got bailed out on that dangerous pass.
Foul.
Can this be a flagrant? He hit him in the face. That's what I'm screaming if I have this. It's not a flagrant at all, but I want one there.
Dylan would have been.
I would have been losing my fucking mind. Now,
It's assault.
Carson Cooper goes to the line. He just went 1 for 2, but he is 73%. So odds are he's going to make both, and he drains the first. So you just need this one. All you need is this
he's
one.
making a both.
And you're good, but he clanks this
Oh
one.
my
So
God.
now you need a quick miss and a foul here because they've been fouling the whole time.
Yep.
And they're going to launch a 3, and they're going to miss. Just get the rebound. Tapped out. And they're just going to throw it up. This shot is not going to count. And Michigan State is going to not cover by. Yeah, it's going to go in. And there was some people who had 6.5 and thought they covered on that too. So, but anyway, yes, that was the Swan Dive of
That was a bad one.
painful,
It's
bro.
a pretty bad one there.
That
Yeah,
is
Michigan
painful.
State. I
Yeah.
watched that game not knowing the line and then went back and checked that out. And I was like, that's pretty fucking brutal for anybody who had 7.5.
Somebody jumped off the building.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to put up, and we'll start with this in college basketball because we kind of talked a little bit about it earlier, but I've got some blind resumes. We're on the bubble here.
Okay.
And so I'm going to pull up 2 teams to each side, and we'll talk whether we think which team more deserves to be in, if both teams or neither team deserves to be in. I've got 3 of them. Okay. So we'll start with number 1 here.
The blind.
All right,
resumes.
blind
Look
resumes.
at this.
Oh, this is good.
Yeah.
This is a
so we
much
got-
cleaner graphic
That's
than
right.
last week.
Well,
Look
this
at
goes
you.
up on
You've
the.
been working.
Well, this goes up every week on the podcast.
That's
You just
right.
see the Word document, and I do it post, but I got it up there.
All right.
Okay, so we got Team A versus Team B. Obviously, Team B has a significantly better record, better conference record.
I'm saying it now. Team B is definitely with a 16-4 conference record. They got to be in the Mountain West or something.
Yeah, I mean they have 2 wins over Boise and their best.
Oh,
wins,
I didn't
Utah
even
State.
see.
definitely
Didn't even
They're
see the
definitely
bottom,
Mountain
but I
West,
was
yeah.
looking at the top.
I made these
Okay.
last night, and I do remember who that team is. I don't
Okay.
really remember who the left team is, but looking at these, let's see, quad 1. Yeah, I mean, Team B's 1-5 versus quad 1. What do you think of the quad system in general? It's hard to judge. I don't really understand.
I think the idea is right.
Yeah,
But I don't think you actually know who quad 1, quad 2, 3,
Right.
and 4 are until it's kind of too late.
Right. And they judge it based on where they were when you played them,
Right.
not at the end. So a team might have been top 10 and ended up 92, and then what is that really a good win?
I don't know.
Yeah. So
It is
This
weird.
is really hard. By
Yeah.
the way.
it's super hard. I mean, this team has a significant. It's hard to see. You have a losing record in conference. You have 14 losses. Like, to me, I'm not saying that Team B deserves to be in, but it's hard for me to say that Team A deserves to be in. If you're even in a Power 5 conference, you have a losing record. I know this isn't the SEC, which is the only place I would say a losing record conference team should get in. But I'm pretty sure it's a Big Ten team. 17 and 14. That's a lot of losses.
I have neither of those teams getting in the tournament. It would be mine.
I
don't think either one get in.
I would say more than likely neither team gets in, but I just know how the committee thinks, and I think looking at the net and the KenPom ranking, they're going to try and put Team A in.
Okay. Team A doesn't belong.
No.
I mean, they played 17 quad 1 games.
Yes.
Which is a whole hell of a lot of opportunities. And they're 5 games under 500.
Yeah.
If that record was 8 and 9, I would be interested. But at this point, I'm looking at A, and it's a no way. And B, I'm kind of with you, T. Like, no.
Yeah.
Okay, so who are they?
Okay, so let me find the answers here. Team A is, I believe, Ohio State. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And Team B is Colorado State. So right now, I believe Colorado State is out. They're like on the next 4 outline.
Yeah, they're not getting
But
in.
they've also won like 9 games in a row. And so if they got to the Mountain West Championship game, maybe, probably not. Ohio State is interesting. I don't get why the metrics like them, like how they're number 34 in the KenPom with 14 losses. I don't get it.
They have them in, don't they?
They had them in going into the last game. They lost at Indiana.
Oh, they lost that game? I saw they were up like 5 or
they
something.
They blew it
late.
and lost. I know because I had Indiana. I had Indiana minus 2.5. But yes, they lost that game. So now they are like, I believe they're the 12 seed in the Big Ten tournament. Okay. And I think they're playing, like, they're going to have to win. They're saying they have to win 2 games more than likely to get in. I think it's like Northwestern's their first game. So it's not really a good win. If they win, they're going to have to beat somebody in that second round who got the single bye, who was a 5 through an 8 seed.
I have watched not much Ohio State, maybe 15 minutes of Ohio State all year. I've watched 2 or 3 Colorado State games because they have a kid who's supposed to be a pro, whose name is escaping me right now.
Yeah.
And he's a wing, and he's long. Anyway,
I know who you're talking about because I watched him a ton last year.
And
he's
a
the same
vagina.
He's a real bitch.
Yeah,
he
absolutely. I mean, you can watch the game and not know who the future NBA pick is for 20 minutes.
Well, he'll fit
is
in
it
perfect.
Nick Clifford?
It could be it. That could be it.
He'll fit in
Maybe.
perfect.
That's him. Yeah.
That's him.
He's their leading scorer.
He'll fit in perfect in the NBA.
These teams don't belong.
No, they don't. I've been anti-Ohio State all year. Like, I feel like they didn't deserve it all year. And then they lose that game against Indiana. They almost lost to Nebraska at home. It took like double overtime the game before to beat them. And the idea was if they lost either of those games, they were out. To me, they're down. They're out.
Good. Let's cut them both.
Yes, let's cut them both. I don't want to see
the field if we have.
Okay, let's go to number 2 here. Okay, number 2. All right, this one is much more even. Almost identical.
Zoom in.
record.
I'm blind as a bat over here. I'm a long way away.
There we go.
All right, there we go.
Okay, so we've got very similar records here, but much better conference record. Don't remember off the top of my head who these teams are. Very similar KenPom, very similar net. Difference. Team B. Look at Team B quad 1. 1-11 versus quad 1.
Goodness gracious, that's bad.
I just remembered who Team B is now in my head. So I won't give it away, but since I made these, I remember. I don't remember Team A exactly. I'm having to look at it. But yeah, I don't know. I think for me, just looking at this, trying to be unbiased, I would say I would consider Team A. To me, Team B is out. You have 12 losses. And you went 1-11 versus quad 1.
That's crazy.
1-11, and you have a quad 3 or 4 loss.
Yes,
they did lose one of those games, so it's not like they just dominated the rest of the competition. It's like, and then so that bottom one that says quality wins record, that's like a different. It's the BPI top 50, the current top 50. What's your record versus those teams? 3-10. So I don't know. Their best win. I was struggling to find wins for them. Their best win is a neutral floor game against UCLA by 2. The other 2 are SMU and Dayton, who are not tournament teams.
There's no way I'm putting Team A in, though.
Let me look at
I
Team A
can't
again.
put a team that's 6-12 in their own conference.
That's a very good point.
Into a tournament. Like I mean, Team B may be shit, but Team A, I cannot make a case for at 6-12 in
even
conference.
if it's the SEC.
Don't care.
Don't care.
Yeah, 6 games under, you can't put them in. I wouldn't put either of these
And that's a
teams in.
33% win percentage.
I don't disagree with y'all whatsoever. However, there's going to be 1 or 2 teams from the SEC who have that record or have a 7-11 record who do get in because they're projecting right now 13 SEC teams in, and 3 of those teams that would be like 11, 12, 13 are 6-12 or 7-11. So this team on the left right now is I know who it is. It's projected in the field. Team B is out. And I'll show you the answer to them, and that is Oklahoma on the left and North Carolina on the right.
Yeah, North Carolina's for sure.
North Carolina's out.
For sure out.
In my opinion.
They had to beat Duke.
That's what everybody says. They were the last team out, or the first team out before the Duke game, and they ended up losing by 20. I mean, they'd have to people are saying they'd have to get to the ACC championship game.
I'm again going to say these 2 teams, I've watched them both, do not belong in an NCAA tournament.
I don't disagree with you.
I agree. Okay. I wouldn't put either one of them.
If I had to pick one, I'm picking Oklahoma. That's all I'm saying.
I would
I've seen them, and they're actually kind of good.
Yeah, and you look at the win. Look at best wins. Okay, Michigan is a top 4 team in the Big Ten. Louisville's a top 4 team in the ACC. Arizona's a top 4 team in the Big 12, and Missouri's a top 5 team in the SEC. So they've beaten somebody in the top 4 of every conference. That's true. UNC's best win is UCLA on a neutral floor by 2 points. Yeah. So, they're out for sure. I would, if you made an argument for Oklahoma, they're like one of the last teams in right now, fine. Okay. I would put them over, a Texas. I would put them over them, but I agree. I'm no problem with them being out. Okay, one more.
Texas is going to be interesting, by the way.
I wonder.
I think they're out at this point. Right?
They are projected out.
I
They
think
lost.
they're out.
It was them in Oklahoma, and so in the last game, this was on Saturday in Austin, and the winner was essentially the first team in or the last team in, and the loser was going to be the first team out. And Oklahoma beat them on their home floor.
Do you like Trey Johnson?
I love Trey Johnson. I know you're kind of wishy-washy.
I can't figure him out.
Now, I will say this. I was going to come on here and say, man, he's been playing so good. And then he went 0 for 14 in that game against Oklahoma.
Did he really?
He didn't make a single shot the entire game.
And they only lost by 4, and
Yeah.
he was 0 for 14.
He's 0 for 14.
Holy shit.
I mean, but I have seen here's the reason I like him. Looking at the way the NBA is played, you're talking about like with step back threes and all of that. I don't know that you can tell me there's a better player in college right now who can create his own shot like that and hit, and he shoots it. I don't know what his numbers are. I have to pull them up, but I would say it's close to 40% from 3 this year.
He makes a lot of hard shots.
A lot of tough shots. NBA-like shots.
It does. He does. And I hear the Ray Allen comparisons, and like I get it. But I watched Ray Allen through college and his entire NBA career. Ray Allen did not miss open shots.
That's a good point.
Trey Johnson's form is not so good that it's just like knockdown.
Agreed.
That's why he goes 0 for what? 14
Yeah,
the
0
other
for 14,
night?
yeah.
Because he is 18 years old.
Right.
So
right.
like, do I want to buy him when he's 23? Yes.
Yeah.
But like, I don't particularly want the first 4 years of his NBA career.
That's
Now,
fair.
From ages 23 to 28, I'm okay with him. I could see like a Jordan Clarkson kind of role for him in the NBA. I'm good with that. But, does that mean you're a lottery pick? I don't know. Apparently it does.
Yeah, I don't know. I have been super high on him all year. That performance has got me a little iffy, especially because when I asked you, normally we're on the same page, and you were like, maybe not. Like I could see his potential, but also he could like bust, and then that made me weary of him a little bit. And then he had that performance. I'm like, I don't know. I'm a little bit down on him.
I think it's weird that he misses shots that are easy shots.
I agree with you on that.
And he makes really hard shots.
Yes, he does.
And it's like, I don't know if an NBA coach really wants that.
I agree with that.
Like, you kind of just have to stand in the corner and wait for Luka to kick you the ball,
Right.
and be Dalton Connect and
Right.
just never miss.
Right.
Right?
No, that's a good point.
Like, unless somebody is desperate, like the Wizards or something, for an offensive hub. I don't know. I don't know.
But I will say this, despite that, even with that 0-14 performance on the season, just shy of 40%, 39.5% from 3 and 88.3 from the free throw line. So he does make a high percentage of shots. He is an efficient player overall.
That's good.
But I agree with you. Like the eye test tells me you're right. Like, he gets a great look at the end of a game and misses, but then he'll come down and hit the most ridiculous pull-up contested shot and win you the game. So I don't get it either.
He's a tough kid. I do like his leadership as a freshman on this Longhorns team. And 39% from 3, given all the grenades he's had to shoot.
I agree.
Because there's nobody else on this team that can create a shot.
And they run no offense either, by the way.
don't.
They have no it's just give him the ball and get the fuck out
So
the way.
he's shooting probably 4 or 5 shots a game that he actually doesn't want to take.
Agreed.
So I don't know. Maybe I like him more. I'm talking myself into it. All right.
Well, then I'm going to go back high on him if you like him again.
Cool.
All right, last one. Team A versus Team B. Okay. Again.
While you guys were talking Texas basketball, I figured out who both these teams are in my head.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Smart.
The
Okay.
first one's UC San Diego, and the second one's
Whoa. Hey.
Holy shit.
Well,
The
sorry.
first team is, okay, if you look at best wins, you can kind of tell because their best wins are Utah State, Toledo, and UC Irvine, but they're 28-4.
Yeah, and their strength of schedule is 261.
Yeah.
I know
Now,
Team B is
hold on,
too, but I won't ruin
it is interesting. I will bring this up. That is UC San Diego. I'm not going to say what Team B is yet. I just think it's very interesting when you look at a team. Obviously, you look at their strength of schedule, 261. But strength of record is how you played the teams on your schedule, and theirs is higher than Team B over here.
It's crazy that Ken Palm has them 39, by the way, because Ken Palm has like Drake at like 50 something.
I watched these guys play. They beat Utah State, who is a tournament team, at Utah State early in the year. And I watched that team. They are fucking good. They lead the country in turnovers percentage forced and turnover percentage for. So they turn it over less than anybody, and they force more turnovers than anybody in the country. It's one of the crazier stats I've seen in a long time. They all can shoot it. They have an Australian kid who's really good in the middle, they're undersized, obviously. They're a mid-major, but they have some really good players. I would love to see them in. If they don't win their tournament, they're not going to get in, I don't think. Okay. I think they're out. I think they all will win their tournament, and they'll get in. Good. I hope so, because they will be a legitimate 12 or 13 who maybe even an 11 who could beat somebody, like legitimately beat somebody.
I forgot. Was it San Diego State? Who was it?
No, this is UC San Diego. It's only like their fourth year as a D1 school.
Okay.
Oh,
I have not seen 1 second of that.
Yeah, and they actually played San Diego State at San Diego State the first game of the year and lost by 1. So they've played some really good teams and played them close. Now,
if
they would have gotten that win,
they
probably would have gotten in at large.
They probably would have
Right.
if they won that game. They have. I mean, it's hard. Like 18-2 in conference. It's hard to go undefeated in any conference, let alone you just rarely see that. So, Team B, what do y'all think about Team B?
Okay, so Team B is hard. I mean, I'm guessing that has to be an SEC school.
It is.
Just by its schedule.
Yep.
And I'm kind of not thinking of who it is. Missouri? No, it can't be Missouri. I don't know. But they're 6-12 in conference.
Same thing as
Look
Oklahoma.
at this really good Ken Palm,
Yeah.
really good net. Strength of schedule's, good. Goodness gracious. Okay, who the hell is it?
That's Texas.
That's
That
Texas.
is Texas. Yep, that
Oh
one's
my
Texas.
God.
So Texas is 17-14 now. I did I flip them? Yeah, I flipped them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right, yeah.
but Texas is here, and UC San Diego's here. But yes, though that is Texas, and they are 5-10 versus quad 1, 3-4 versus quad 2, like 8-14 versus the top 2 quads. 33% win percentage in conference. To me, and I'm a Texas fan. To me, Texas is out. I think it's plain and simple. I don't think I think they have to win
He's
3
only
games.
he's only saying that because he wants Rodney Terry fired.
I've been
this year.
Well,
really
he ought to
against-
be.
Yeah, he ought to be.
He should be fired. But as someone who's not a Texas fan, I hope he sticks around and gives Dylan a year more of pain and suffering.
The Chris Beard has just been devastating for me. I thought we were going to be win national titles with him, and it's just
I think the tournament should put more teams like UC San Diego in. They can't. They're a prisoner of their own conference.
nobody
They can
wants to play you.
Yeah, they can only do so much. No one really wants to play that game. You see that they played on the road at San Diego State, first game of the year,
Yep.
lost by 1.
Yep.
They're a good team. They're not. I'm with you. They're not going to get in probably unless they win their tournament. But I would like to see them.
If they
in,
lost like at the buzzer in their conference in the championship game, and like a crazy game,
they have them
maybe,
on a,
maybe. But like we saw this with Indiana State last year, who had a ridiculous. Like I think their net last year, I believe, was like I know their flip. So what's theirs? 35. I think Indiana State's was like 29.
Yeah, they were.
And they had
way
like
up.
3 losses,
Yeah.
and they still got left out. And they
Yeah.
weren't even the last team or the first team out. They were like the 4th or 5th team out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the committee just normally does not do that. They normally give a team like Texas or Oklahoma or North Carolina, who don't deserve to be in,
Right.
and have had plenty of opportunities more than that team and squandered them, and they get in and
You know
play
what?
that play-in
What
game.
I wish the committee would do? Kind of go to the somewhat of the football playoff deal, which is a mess, obviously. But I wish they would do like the 3 best or whatever, the 4 best mid majors. And I don't know how you'd figure it out. Like teams like UC San Diego
Yeah,
and other teams and put them in. So I don't know how you would figure it out.
I know what you're
but
saying. I
it
wish
would
there
be
was a way
cool-
to find
it would
more
be
teams
cool
to get in.
Yeah. Like, hey, if you go, if you have less than 5 losses and you're like,
And look, I
only lose 2 conference games. I mean, it's just such
This
a.
is the
it's
St.
just so
Mary's.
hard,
This
yeah.
is what we would call the St. Mary's paradigm, right?
Yeah.
Remember how good St. Mary's used to be, but they would play nobody?
yes,
And they'd have 4 losses every single year,
Yep.
but they would have played nobody.
Yeah.
Maybe they caught a Gonzaga team, but they lost.
Right.
Right? Because Gonzaga was just better.
yes.
And they usually didn't get in.
Right.
Like Patty Mills teams
Yes.
are the ones I'm thinking of.
Right.
And yeah, that's so I want to see those teams.
it's more fun.
I
with
want
those
them
teams in, and your casual fan wants them in as well.
You think about like a Davidson with Steph Curry back in whatever that was, 08 or 09, I forget the year, but it's like they only get in because they win their conference tournament. Otherwise, we never see that run with Steph Curry, them getting to the Elite 8,
Right.
right? So I would like to see, now, do I want to see 20
No,
more
no,
mid-majors? No, I want to see the best teams in, but I think you can make an argument if you have a team like that, who maybe they are one of the best 64 teams. There's a more of an argument to be had than just, no, let's just throw the higher conference team in. 'Cause
and
then what are we
Texas
doing?
just doesn't.
No,
Texas
exactly.
just doesn't. We've all watched them.
yes.
They're not a great team.
No.
They don't belong in the tournament. And they could kind of get beaten by anybody.
Yes, they could.
Like make up a school, Bowling Green. They
Yeah.
could probably lose to Bowling Green.
Right.
Like that's who Texas is.
Right.
I will say this because it just kind of reminded me seeing UCSD up there. The West Coast basketball that I have watched this year is so much softer than SEC
a great
and Big
point.
12
Right.
basketball.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to see if if it changes in the tournament, like, will they have success? Will the refereeing allow them to be finesse teams? Because to me, there's 2 conferences that play big boy basketball, and everybody else can go to hell.
Yeah.
Oregon, I guess, in past years has played really tough. San Diego State plays really tough.
They're an anomaly, I would say.
But like Arizona plays soft basketball.
Oh, yeah.
And they always get bounced before they should.
Yeah.
Always.
And
They're never in it late in March.
We were cracking up because we were looking at, Ken Palm rankings for a lot of things is great. But then it was like Gonzaga is what, Dylan? Are they still up there in
they're,
top
they're
8?
number 9.
Yeah, number 9 in the country, Gonzaga.
Huh.
I mean, it's like, because Dylan was talking about how early in the year
they played people.
they played teams, and they
but
beat the shit out.
Buddy.
They didn't.
Yeah, no, it's just they killed the teams that they played that weren't any good.
They beat Baylor. They beat the shit out of Baylor, who has looked like a fringe tournament team lately. Like they have not looked good lately. I wouldn't want to play.
I wouldn't want to play Baylor, by the way.
No, I wouldn't either. They have Edgecombe and they have a lot of talent. They have Jeremy Roach, who transferred from Duke, but for some reason they just have not been able to. Did they wait? They ended up losing to Houston the other night, right?
Yes.
Houston beat them. Okay, how did they kill them? I missed the end of that game.
Was relatively
it was close, I think.
Okay,
yeah.
But okay, quick question on this. I've got the Ken Palm rankings up. You don't have to look at this, but how many teams do we think, like looking at this list or thinking off the top of your head, have a legitimate shot that could win a national title? Because I know we've talked about this. It is open. I know people have thought for the whole year that Duke and Auburn have been the best 2. Auburn, who everybody thought was the clear number 1 overall seed, has now lost back-to-back games, lost at A&M, and then lost at home at the buzzer to Alabama. And then you look at the rest of the field here. I actually have been higher on Florida than anybody the whole year.
They're good.
They're really, really good.
Speaking of Australian kids, like you were a minute ago, I like that. Yes.
Yeah, he's fucking awesome.
I think that kid is really good. The big white kid. He's like 6'11".
Yes, Alex Condon.
He had like 4 alley-oops the other day against Alabama.
Yeah.
Like, when's the last time Alabama had 4 alley-oops completed by a white guy on it?
Never.
Never.
First time in history.
Like, not even at like a frat game.
Yeah. They won.
Not
even
on the low hoop.
At Auburn and at Alabama. Those are probably the 2 most impressive wins of any team, like combined 2 wins all season. Winning on the road in both those environments against those teams, that's crazy that they won both those games.
So you were asking
how many teams?
How deep does it go who can win the national championship?
Yeah.
Okay, Gonzaga can't.
Right,
they're not good enough. Iowa State has a chance. Kentucky can't.
No, Kentucky can't.
Wisconsin can't. Maryland cannot. But if I look farther, like St. John's could.
I agree with that.
Texas A&M maybe could. Illinois, I can't figure them out.
They think they're a 3-point shooting team, and yet they are horrible at shooting 3. What are they? They shoot 31% from 3, but they take the 28th most 3-pointers of any team in the country. It makes no sense. I don't understand.
Yeah. So that's why they
this is why I stopped betting on them like a month ago, 2 months ago.
I like a bunch of their players.
Yeah.
And they just can't get it together.
Nope.
But so I would say no, they can't win it all. But then I saw Missouri is good enough to win it all.
Missouri's really, really good. They're a weird team.
Yep. BYU can't win it all, but they could make a Final Four if they catch it right.
They have been hot lately. One of the hotter teams I've seen.
I think they have 3 pros on.
Yeah, it's crazy. Denham, Catchings, and they've got a couple other dudes who are good on there.
That Tiafo kid and Saunders could be fringe NBA.
Oh yeah,
players.
Yeah. Saunders has been their best player this year for a lot of the stretch down the stretch.
They're weird. They're weird, and they're starting to play better. Demon, their Russian kid, has all the talent in the world. And if he ever figures out how good he is, he's going to be a great NBA player. But I don't know. I mean, he can't take over a game right now offensively.
No, he's not ready to do that. He doesn't shoot a high enough percentage. Although he's been playing better the last 5-6 games, which is why I think they're playing a lot better as a team. He is shooting the ball better. He was shooting like sub 65% from the free throw line and sub 30% from the 3-point line for a good stretch at the beginning of the year. And they were struggling. They lost at Providence by like 30 early in the year. But now they look like one of the better teams in the country.
Yeah, I don't think that he can carry them. They have to find their seniors have got to carry them. Yeah. They can't rely on the Russian kid yet.
And they have that kid too, Dallin Hall, who's been there forever, who hits big shots. He's like the most Mormon-looking kid ever. Yes, he's 26 years old. That's right. Yes, he probably has 4 wives, but he can ball. In big moments, he steps up. And Saunders, it's funny how you see the mix of like the straight normal BYU kids and then like the recruited ones who got paid millions of dollars to come there, and they've kind of meshed together and figured it out.
Good old BYU, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize until the other night that their head coach is a first-year head coach.
Yeah, he was an NBA assistant, I believe, with the Sixers.
Oh.
I could be wrong about the team, but he had been an NBA assistant for a long time.
So what is...
He got
okay,
the
so-
call from the Mormon Mafia. They said, "We
Yes.
want you, buddy. We want you to coach the golden." The
Well, his
golden
last name
age
is
of,
Young.
like-
Maybe he's a descendant of Brigham
Yeah,
Young.
he
There you
may
go.
well
he,
be.
he
That's right.
probably is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin Young. He's 43 years old. He was trying to see where he was before. I thought it was Philadelphia.
Well, somebody believes in him for whatever reason, and they play a very pro style there at BYU. Now, is that going to work in the NCAA tournament?
Good question.
Like when they have to go up against some real hard-ass teams,
Right.
Houston will say, Alabama, Auburn,
Right.
some of these SEC killer schools, how's that going to work? I don't think it's going to work very well.
I don't think so either. And I actually was super down on them for when they were struggling early, and I didn't like their style. And like every time I turn on a game lately, they're winning by
They're
game by
winning
15 or
again.
20.
I know.
But I agree. I don't think it will work in the NCAA tournament. They got upset last year. I know it was a different system. Mark Pope was the head coach, but they were a 6 seed and lost to Duquesne in the first round with a lot of these guys. Now, they didn't have Denham and they didn't have Catchings, but they had a lot of Richie Saunders, Dallin Hall. They had a lot of those same dudes on the team, and it was the same type of deal. They get in there, they shoot a ton of threes. And when you rely on the three ball a lot, you get in the tournament, you get nervous early in the first round, it gets
You can
close
lose.
late, can very easily lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's interesting on that list. It seems to go to Missouri. And after that, I can't see any teams being a national championship team.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Do you think have you seen much of Texas Tech play?
Yeah.
I think they're really, really good
they're
when
my-
they're healthy.
So that's my de facto college basketball school. I didn't go to Tech, but all my buddies did. Most of them graduated.
I didn't. I'm a Texas Tech
He
dropout.
went there. He did not graduate.
That's my de facto.
So there
too.
you go.
That's why
Texas
we
Tech
can be
dropout.
friends.
Yeah.
And they're my adopted team.
Yeah.
And I fucking love them.
Yeah.
They play so bloody hard.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
And I really love them. And also, I will tell you, they could lose because
they could lose right away.
They
too.
have a hard time scoring.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
if what's the McMillan? Is it?
Oh yeah. McMillan.
Their
Yeah.
their 3-point shooter. If he's not like going, they become pretty easy to predict. It's just going to be topping on the block,
Yes.
right? So I don't know. I look. I hope Tech goes on a run. Maybe the most disappointed I've ever been in a collegiate Final Four was their
3
failure
from
to
the
win it.
corner.
Yeah,
They up by 3
Andrew
with
Hunter.
15 seconds, and
Let's go help
the
the guy.
product
the guy
of
driving.
it was. I watched this the other day because I actually had Virginia winning the tournament, and I won the bracket on that
You
game.
did, I remember.
However, I didn't deserve it because they should have lost in the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight, the Final Four, and the national title. It was just a miracle run by Virginia. But I was watching that play over, and I just can't. I couldn't figure out how on earth they gave that 3 up.
Jarrett Culver.
Yes, it was
The
Jarrett
NBA
Culver.
player helps off of the corner.
And I think it just is because they are so predicated. The way Chris Beard used to coach was the no middle defense, and they were so predicated on early help.
Yeah.
And it was just because if you watch, not only does he come and help, but there was a Francis, their little guard from the backside. He comes down and drops. They both are running at the ball, and they just leaving the shooters wide open. And of course,
Francis was a nightmare.
That was-
too.
that
It
was
like,
one of the
He
best.
was either hot or he was missing fucking everything.
Y'all should have hung a banner though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll
Should've
always be pissed off about that. Texas
Shoulda
Tech
won it.
should have a national championship.
if they win a national title, does Chris Beard ever leave there? Does he just stay?
Fuck no.
I think there's no way he leaves. Right? There's no way.
Honestly, right now, if you ask Chris Beard, he would tell you, "I never should have left."
No, he
Yeah.
never should have left. And he never. And I will give, I don't know who the AD of Texas Tech is, but whoever it is, they do a heck of a job because Grant McCaslin, the new head coach, is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
And the way they've just found, and I know they hired,
I think it's
what's his
Kurt-
name after, it was the assistant of
Yeah.
Beard, and that didn't work out. Mark Adams was that guy's name. But, I mean, to find Beard and then to find that dude, I mean, they were from, I think Beard was at Arkansas, Little Rock, and McCaslin was at North Texas, and they just found these
They
little
have a
gems.
type. They have a type.
It's
They
still,
do, and
it's
they
still
stick to
Kirby
it.
Holcutt who's been
Has
there
he
for
been
a
there
long time,
forever?
yeah.
Well, he does a
and
heck
he
of a
hired
job.
and he hired the baseball coach Tim Tadlock, who's taking him to like they would go to Omaha every other year. in
I guess he just
baseball,
can't
too.
figure out how to hire a football coach is the problem.
How
He's
dare
still
you.
stuck with
How
what's
dare
his
you
name.
go after old Joey?
You were
Use-
yelling to fire Joey this year.
I don't like Joey.
Is there a Big Ten team that y'all like?
Man, I've
'Cause I don't.
been
I
high
can't
on
find one.
So I've been high on Michigan State the whole year. However, I've been higher on them relative to expectation because I believe they were unranked coming into the year. If they were ranked, it was like 25, right? And I bet them, like I told Turner, the 2 bets I made preseason and I lost one was I thought Ole Miss was criminal to be. They were like 100-1 that win the SEC, and I thought they were going to be good. And they were. They didn't compete at the end, but they were in the top 8, I believe. Yeah. And then I bet Michigan State at like 35-1 to win the Big Ten, and they won the Big Ten in the regular season. So I have been high on them all year. They cannot fucking shoot is their problem. They just can't shoot. And so that worries me. Yeah. But if they are making shots and they have that kid, Jace Richardson, who's like a phenomenal freshman, crazy athlete. Really good. He's really good. And they've got some guys who have been there for a while. The Akins kid who missed the dunk on the bad beat is still a solid player. If they have guys capable of making shots, Jeremy Fears, their point guard, is pretty good. If they do make shots, they could beat anybody in the tournament, I believe.
Really?
I believe that,
okay.
Yeah. Because I think that Izzo, this is just the type of team that fits him, that they respond to him and they like playing for him because he said it too. He's like, this is like not even close to one of my most talented teams, but that they are one of the best teams I've had in the last 2 decades.
I mean, we've seen that play out
yes.
for Izzo several times. If this is his kind of kids,
yes.
then, pencil him in through your bracket.
I think he's going to make a run here. Now, could they have a bad shooting night and lose in the first round as a 2 seed?
Right.
Absolutely they could. I mean, he did that against Middle Tennessee State like a decade ago, but I don't think so. I think you see them in the Elite 8. I liked Wisconsin, and they've looked horrible the last couple weeks.
Yeah, they're not good.
They're not good.
When we were talking about it last week, what did I say? I'm sticking with them because I put the ultimate jinx on them.
Oh yeah,
I got Iowa State going to the Final Four. They're gonna make a run. They've been horrible. They're going to the Final Four.
They were like a top 3 team, and then Turner came on the show and was like, they're gonna win the national championship, and they've been fucking atrocious since then.
They lost
at home. They lost a 39-game home winning streak. They lost at home to Kansas fucking State.
Like
the day after
Kansas
you said
State's
that.
been playing great ball, or they were. Please, Jerome Tang's got the boys playing fantastic.
Okay.
And then my surprise pick to go to the Final Four. What was it? 17-1. Clemson. They're going to the Final Four this year. Watch.
I don't agree with that, but I do like Clemson. I do like
at that price. I don't know if they'll go there, but I think they could easily.
They won't be that anymore. That was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was 3 weeks ago.
I like Georgia as really? They're good too? Yes, they're good too.
They've been hot lately too. They've won 4 or 5 in a row. They were a fringe tournament team. They're in now.
What's the big guy for them? Noah?
He played college hoops, high school hoops with Cup. Asa Newell.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really talented.
Yeah, Asa Newell. They have they got that kid who I really liked, Tyron Lawrence. I don't know if he's been good, but he was at Vandy a couple years back.
Oh, they got him?
Yeah, they got him.
Oh,
I like him. He's a lefty little guard who plays pretty good. And then who else? They have that one white kid who's a pretty good shooter. I forget his name. Blue Kane. He has the most Blue Kane. And he used to have this long hair. Now he shaved it or whatever. But
that's my sneaky team.
Yeah, I like that.
Blue Kane's a white kid?
Yeah, dude. Blue Kane's a white kid.
Anytime I see him on the Gamecast, I would have bet my life he wasn't a white kid.
He was like a top 20 recruit too. He went
really?
Yeah, he went to I forget if it was Montverde, but one of those prep schools. He was real high up there. Yeah.
I'm excited for this.
Yeah.
For this tournament. I mean, I think it's going to be great. The conference tournaments kind of take a little bit of the shine from the NCAA tournament. And maybe it's because I've watched so many games this year, right. Especially Big 12 and SEC games. I'm like, I really don't need to see a tournament. I really don't.
Yeah.
I full well recognize how deep these two leagues are and how talented everybody is. I don't need to see a week of brutality before the NCAA tournament. Just let them all get in.
It's a very good point.
And let's see them do brutality to some other team.
I completely agree with that. Right? I mean, you look at this happened back with the old Big East. They'd play an 18-game season. They'd play as hard as they could for 18 straight games, beat the shit out of each other. Then they got to go play in fucking Madison Square Garden and win 3 or 4, some teams 5 games, and then they'd come out in the NCAA tournament and be fucking burnt out. Yes. And that's just what would happen. And a lot of times, with the exception of UConn a couple years, those Big East teams, Cincinnati was always really fucking good, never made it deep. Pitt was always really fucking good with Jamie Dixon, never made it deep, always got upset. And it wasn't like they were worse. It was like they looked like they were beat up and burnt out.
I'm worried about that for the SEC and the Big 12. And by the way, I don't want to bet my toe again, but
I would saved it once.
Yes, I would almost bet my toe that the champion comes from one of 2 conferences.
I agree with that.
St. John's is the one team from the Big East that I think has a chance, but I don't think they score it well enough to to win 6 straight.
Yeah.
Could they be in the Final Four? Sure.
Yeah.
6 straight seems like too much to me
Yeah.
for them. I think just about any school from the SEC has a chance to go to the Final Four.
Yeah.
Just about everybody.
Yeah.
Maybe not Oklahoma if they get in.
Sure.
Okay.
But like the top 10 probably have a legit
do.
shot.
They really do.
I agree.
It's the deepest basketball conference I've ever seen, and it's
Unbelievable.
It's mind blowing to be saying that that's from the SEC.
Oh, it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. I mean, I'm watching our producer who he had to go, but he's a huge Vanderbilt fan. No, he went to fucking Tennessee. I think we told you this last time. No, why he's a fucking Vanderbilt fan.
Well, his dad went there.
But why he chose to be a Vanderbilt fan when you could have picked Tennessee and had some joy instead of just plain misery, I don't know. But regardless, Vandy is fucking good this year in basketball. They're really good. They beat Kentucky. They beat Missouri. They beat, I believe, was it Alabama? They've beaten like 4 of the top 6 teams in the SEC. They're legit. And they've got some guy. They have a kid, Jason Edwards, who's like fucking 21 points a game, pure professional, probably Euro player, but professional scorer.
Yeah.
Like professional scorer. And they've got kids who can play.
Yeah, who's they have a son of a former NBA player who's really good. I mean, Vanderbilt's scary good.
Yeah, they got AJ Hoggard, the transfer, even though he hasn't played as well, but he still is been to Final Fours.
He even plays for them.
Yeah.
And he was a starter for Michigan State a year ago.
They paid him like $500,000 to go there.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, this is a case study in a conference coming from really nothing. I mean, they were Kentucky and everybody else.
Yeah,
essentially.
I think it's pretty simple though now because it's
what, NIL.
Yeah, because they used to spend all the the paper bags with all the money and went to the football players and they didn't give a fuck about the basketball teams. But now there's deep pockets in the SEC and everybody's got a chance to pay whoever they want to come there. And it just seems like that's where all the money's being
Well,
spent.
I mentioned this the other day.
I mean, don't get me wrong, there's other schools,
No,
right?
there are.
But I mean,
but I mentioned this the other day talking about the West Coast teams being soft. I also think they have less talent over there. And I wonder if I brought this up last couple episodes ago, if it has to do with state income tax. I mean, you're having cost of living and state income tax over there. Do you think, okay, I can make $500,000 here and $500,000 here, but really it's $500,000 and $350,000 when I think, if they have somebody smart talking to them, is it really smart to go play over there? Because it might not matter in the NBA when it's $100 million and you're going to make generational money regardless, but this might be the only 2 years I make money. And if it is, and I don't get to play after this or I get hurt, it's a big that might be a big difference. I don't know that that's the case. I just brought that point up.
It's possible that that's exactly what it is.
Because how is USC not good? How is UCLA? They have money. How are they not good?
I have no idea.
They're not. They're not.
They're not.
Like, UCLA's okay. USC's fucking horrible. USC did not even make the Big Ten tournament.
Washington is a big state school.
Huge state school.
And they can't win.
It's weird. Like, it has to be something to do with that. I don't know how else to explain it.
I don't quite get it.
Or Oregon even. Not that they're not good, but like basketball-wise, they've not been like a top 10, 15 team, and they have more money than fucking anybody with Phil Knight over there.
Precisely.
I mean, he wants a national title like blood, and they can't get guys in there. I don't get it.
Phil Knight's saving all his money for the football field, dude.
I guess so.
He's like, I'm not trying to compete with Duke. I'm just going to spend all my money out here on the
throw this up here.
That reminds me. What about Tennessee? They're a football school to me, but their basketball team is good.
They're really good.
Rick Barnes is a hell of a coach, baby.
No, he actually is a really good
coach. Awesome. He's awesome. Yeah.
And Ziegler at the point is just amazing.
Yeah.
If you want to put $10,000 on a team not to lose in the first round, it's them.
That's a good point.
Like, they have zero chance of getting upset in the first round because they know what the fuck they're doing and they have leadership. Like, that's a really good team.
They're really good. I would venture to guess they're going to be in the Elite Eight. I would be surprised to not see them in the Elite Eight.
I just don't see an upset coming to them.
Yeah, I don't either.
Could they get beaten by a school that's just as good as them? Sure.
Yeah.
Right? But they're not going to have some upstart. BYU is not going to beat Tennessee.
No
chance.
You're not gonna get beat by a finesse school like that or some hot team. Like, you're just not gonna do it. That level of physicality. They might not be the best offensive team. There might be a top 5. Not as good as Houston, not as good as St. John's, but they are, I think, the most physical team I've seen in this country.
Nasty, dude.
And it's every year.
Yes.
Rick Barnes teaches them to just fuck people up, basically, and it works every year.
Rick Barnes is really successful when he has a great point guard.
Yes, he does.
And he has a great point guard.
And he's had him for 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah, I mean, he's been there since I was in college.
Yeah, he's been there.
Really
a minute.
has.
We got a couple more tickets to punch
what you
tonight. Well, no, this is just so actually, let me exit out of this. These are just the tickets that have been punched so far, and I was gonna bring this up earlier, and we can basically wrap this up here. But Lipscomb is a really fun team. I watched them play the other day.
Did you?
Yeah, they won their conference tournament, beat Northern Alabama.
Is Lipscomb in Nashville?
They are
Is
in
that one of the Nashville schools?
They are in Nashville.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So they're going for the second time, but then we've got a bunch of teams already. In the first 5, 3 of them are in their first trip ever to the Big Dance. High Point University.
Where is that?
I actually have no
High
good
Point,
question.
High Point's
them
in
come
North
up.
Carolina.
Thank you.
Okay, there we go.
I sounded confident. I'm pretty sure they're in North Carolina. Look them up, but I think they're in North
I am
Carolina.
going to look that up.
Just to call me out if they're not. But I said it with such fucking conviction. I think it's North Carolina.
If it isn't,
It's one of the
is
Carolinas.
North Carolina.
Okay, good. All right.
It
There
is.
you
Good
go.
job,
Nailed
T.
it.
Yeah, great
Nailed it.
job. Well, let's see if you get the next one. The next one, so that's their first trip. They were down 15 at halftime in their conference title game, came back and won. Drake's third consecutive year. But then you have
Des Moines.
Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville,
Jeez.
won the Ohio Valley Conference, their first trip ever to the Big
That's
Dance.
not the Salukis. Who were the weird ass Salukis?
Oh,
That's,
man, that's
Southern-
Southern Illinois.
Southern
Straight
Illinois.
Southern Illinois.
That's just straight Southern.
Straight
Salukis,
Southern
yeah.
Illinois. And then you have Nebraska Omaha, who, by the way, so this is actually interesting. So they won their conference tournament. They won the regular season and then won the conference tournament. And they, in the conference tournament, they were an underdog in 2 of their 3 games in the conference tournament. Yeah,
Weird.
no respect. And I guess they just were not expected to go, but they actually were in regardless once they got to the final because they played St. Thomas, who was not eligible
Yeah,
to get
because
in the tournament.
they were D2.
So they were
yeah.
D2 and just transferred, which is a stupid rule, by the way, that you should just be able to go right away. I don't understand that at all. Makes no sense. It was like the whole deal with James Madison when they were undefeated in football, not being able to go to a New Year's Six Bowl back when they had the other playoff. But anyway, yes, or conference championship. But yeah, Nebraska, Omaha. So 3 teams already. We've got a couple more
Have you
tickets to
seen
punch tonight.
them, Dylan?
I watched them play because I bet on them. I bet on them in the quarterfinals because I went and looked at the metrics and it just didn't make sense that they were an underdog. And so I took them in the championship game and I took them in the quarterfinals when they were a dog, and they won both outright.
Are they big? What's their deal?
No, they
How do
just
win?
play good together. They actually look kind of like a D2 school. They remind me a little bit of Drake, who
Okay.
moves the ball well. They play good team basketball. They're not oversized. Now, that conference is not good. Let's be honest. They're not good. They lost 4 games in that conference. But still, I mean, this team was picked to finish, I believe, second to last to start the season, and ended up winning the conference, the regular season, and the tournament championship. So I don't know. I don't know if they can beat anybody. They're probably going to end up being like a 15.
15.
That was
Yes,
my next
15.
question.
I think they're gonna be a
Which
15.
one of these teams can beat somebody?
Now, I'll tell you who. This team. I believe Lipscomb can beat somebody. I really
Really?
do. I watched them play 3 times. They have a point guard. Man, if I showed him to you, he's like your type of
Really?
point guard. Yeah, he's like maybe 5'10", maybe like 160 pounds soaking wet, but he's bouncy and he can shoot the shit out of it. He's got tight handles, and they've got a bunch of kids who have been there for a minute, who have played together, and they're a fun team. You should go watch their highlights
Okay.
of their conference
I'll check 'em
championship
out.
game. Just watch him. You'll know who I'm talking about. Number 2 holding the trophy up there is pretty good. That kid on the black kid on the left is like a 43% 3-point shooter. They can all shoot it. They're fun. I like Lipscomb a lot. I think they're
Okay.
going to be like a 13 or a 14, and that's not going to be a fun matchup for whoever gets them. Now, again, all white except for one guy and undersized. That's just going to be most of these teams.
It's going to be hard.
It's going to be hard. But I do think they have a legit chance to win. Now, there's plenty of other teams coming up. Have you seen Drake play?
But I've seen Drake teams
They're
play
the
in the
weirdest-
past.
they're the
They are
weirdest team ever.
So it's a new.
They hold the ball the whole fucking
They're
shot
all
clock,
D2
and one guy
kids.
shoots it.
So the guy,
Okay.
the guy who came in, they're all D2. They're 4 of their 5 starters were Division II players last year. Their best player was a Division II player last year, and he is the Player of the Year in the Missouri Valley Conference.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's college basketball right now.
Yes,
for
it
you.
is.
It's go rob the D2 schools. You know, you spend a couple of years, maybe you're at a junior college, then you get to D2, then you have 2 years there, then somebody finds you
Yep.
in a major conference, and you're leading the conference Player of the Year. I mean, this is college basketball now. And,
Yeah.
And I want to go back to this. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not about the 17 and 18-year-olds anymore. It's about somebody who like develops in his collegiate career into something, you know, worthwhile. I dig that.
No, I completely agree. I'm going to throw this up. We can wrap it up, but I'm going to throw this up. These are the games going on right now because we've got finals going on and semifinals. So,
San Francisco plays tonight, don't they?
yes, I believe they
West
let's
Coast.
see.
uh,
Yes, they
yeah.
play Gonzaga in the semifinal.
So if you watch them, I will not
the
be
Dons.
surprised if they beat the Zags.
No,
tonight.
I wouldn't either. They're actually pretty fucking.
They're pretty good.
They're pretty fucking.
San
good.
Francisco
I'd
has
say
like,
Gonzaga was favored by like 15. What was it?
play,
yeah, 15
play
and a
San
half.
Francisco.
Yeah,
Play San Francisco. San
that's
Francisco
a huge number.
has a point guard that Gonzaga is not going to be able to stop.
Yeah,
he's like that kid you were talking about a second ago.
Yeah.
He's like
from Lipscomb.
5'10". He's got sick handle and he shoots from everywhere.
I fucking love those type of players.
I do too. And like you roll the dice with those guys.
Sure,
Like,
absolutely.
You might lose by 25, but
Yeah,
you also
but
might beat Gonzaga.
They might
tonight.
win outright.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Also, I would say the winner of this game, both of these teams are pretty good. Troy and Arkansas State.
Really?
Yeah, I like both of those teams. I haven't seen them play a ton. I've seen them play like maybe like a half here, a half there. But I like
Arkansas
both
State
those
was
teams.
picked to win the Sun Belt.
Yeah, and Troy has ended up being, I believe, the number 1 seed.
I guess so, because it looks like they're listed as the home team there.
And so then you have Robert Morris is the 1 seed in the Horizon. Oakland was like the 6th seed. They upset the 3. They have Greg Campy, that same coach who remember when they had 2 years ago when they upset Kentucky in the tournament with Golke, the kid who was hitting all those
that was,
threes.
that was
yeah.
last year.
The,
That was 2 years. Oh, was that last year?
40-year-old white kid?
Yeah, that was last
I
year.
remember him.
Yeah.
So they're the 6th seed. I think we watched them early in the year and they were like 1-9, but they had played a brutal
they
schedule.
played a good
and I go
schedule.
watch in March. They're going to be in contention in the conference
Here
tournament.
they are.
They win this game, they're in the finals, and they're playing the number 1 seed, Robert Morris. They already beat the 3, so
And that's must win for them.
yes, whoever loses that is out for sure.
Yeah. It says into the second, by the way.
Yeah. Wait.
Oh, whoops. I looked at
Let's
the
see.
wrong thing.
No,
I
no,
thought
it
I saw
did.
in
No, it
second.
did. They always screw
It
that up
did
on
say that, didn't it?
ESPN. When it comes right out of halftime, it'll say into the second
Oh,
and start.
okay.
I saw it too. I was like, how can it be into the second? It's 44-38.
Furman and Wofford is in that championship game, and I believe that's the SoCon.
I feel like Furman and
and-
Wofford always play each other.
Well,
in the
don't they?
championship game.
And what's
Yes.
funny is they're both like outside the top 5. Like this is the championship, and the top 4 teams all didn't even make it to the final. So yeah, but I mean, this is the best part. We're scrolling down. We got teams playing to go to the tournament right now in the middle. 7 o'clock. I mean, it's just the best time of the
Pretty
year. I love
exciting. I
this.
can't
Yeah.
wait to get home and
Yeah.
cook a steak and
Yeah.
watch this shit.
Yeah, let's wrap it up so we can go watch them.
Guys, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you,
for
Vex.
having me back.
Always,
Whenever
always a
you want to come
pleasure.
on,
Good
come on
times.
over. It's a good
Good
time every
times.
time. Yeah, we had a great show. Thanks, Vex, for joining us, and make sure to like and subscribe. I'll put all the links to all of our stuff, Patreon, and all that stuff in the description below. But thank you guys, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Thanks.
All right.
Cheers.